Art is made for you to express your emotion and passion in the most beautiful way possible. You make crafts of music and performances that resonates within your desire to make the audience feel touched. It is not for biased, snobby executives to pick and choose which artist they found most desirable to win certain awards, and just because you don't have a desirable skin color for them to rack in profit, you feel that your art is worthless in comparison. For that, you ought to propose. 2 steps before my argumentation. 1. What does this award show look like and how do you get nominated? As stated in the motion, big award shows looks like Grammys and the Oscars and Tonys. It is attended by hundreds of artists and are anticipated by many. The way you get nominated is usually by a huge boost of fans that wanted them to be nominated, or when you went viral with your work and deemed as a new hit. But sometimes they are also picked by executives who use this connection to get artists be nominated. But secondly, on prop, we would prefer a world where there's no massive glorification of award shows, rather for artists to show their art and let their followers or supporters be their recognitions instead. This looks like how they solely make songs or make films based on how their followers' interests are, and they gain love and support from that instead. 2 argumentation then. 1. Why awards and recognitions are flawed in practice. 2nd, why diminishes art. First argumentation then. Why award shows and recognitions are flawed in practice. The premise of this argument is to prove why Grammy and Oscar has lost its inertia. That is to say, the glory days of awards has been over due to various unjustified wins that are wide dominated under their side. 3 reasons why. 1. Problem arises when media pointed out it has been unfair in the past. Most Oscars are pointed out that it's always been a white artist that have won in their shows. Even if there's certain African American singer or like Michelle Yeoh that won Best Actress, it's an outlier example in comparison to the quantity of unfair wins, such as Jamie Lee Curtis who won Supporting Actors instead of Angela Bassett, for example, the mother in Black Panther. Some people pointed out their faults in Grammys as well, where singers like Katy Perry and Nicki Minaj were literally banned from the award show because they had conflicts with the executives from that award show to begin with. This proves that there's no fair metric on award shows at all, which means the result of an artist winning an award is faulty or unfair. What is the result of this? Most audiences have lost their interest over Grammys and Oscars since they don't see it as a fair and prestigious award anymore. This harms A, the artists who got the award but were criticized and scrutinized that they should not have won, TikTokers who were invited in the Met Gala but they were heavily hated on, for example, but B, artists who work hard to be nominated just for people to not care about the nominations anymore. So there's 2 actors that are at harm on these award shows anyways. But secondly, regardless, we'll prove on the event that it's fair why it ought to be opposed as well. 2 things. 1. The problem relies on how supporters will only feel validated when you win awards. So there's people who criticize an artist by their achievements, on what recognition they have gotten, for example. It creates unfair competition in artists who made art who majority likes, for example. Because this harms artists who feel like they're not adequate enough. People who don't work for like majority base, where they work on indie songs, for example, or certain artistic values that are different from what the majority likes. People like to scrutinize them and see that they have no value or achievements. That means they're a failed artist, for example, and that's bad. But second, because it creates competition on your side. Sometimes competition is good to create engagement. The question is, how do you compare 2 different art style or 2 different heart-touching performances? I think art is not supposed to be made a tournament to decide what is good and what is not, because art is subjective and based on the eyes of the beholder. We ought not to judge something we don't understand and put a label that something isn't good because it's not the interest of the majority. It's abhorrent to say the least. Lastly, the glorification of award shows destroys an artist. That is to say, artists crave to win the Grammys or Oscars, so they don't make authentic performances or music, but instead, they do what the majority prefers so they can get the most audience to vote for them. This looks like a basic pop song or a crying scene from some sad movies, which harms 2 things. A, the artists themselves who feel dissatisfied with their work because it's lost taste and there's no self-identity in their music anymore. But B, the art itself, where people lost access to a variety of music and different ways of acting because they want to be recognized. So art becomes a basic and common concept where it's recycled again and again on their side of the house. What is our proposal then? We posit that artists should gain validation from their supporters, and that should be the parameter of where they gain acknowledgement and satisfaction. 2 things. The likelihood of this is that it's very accessible. Every music has its own demographic. People are allowed to like different genres, and we say this is good because we allow different music styles to increase because they don't care about making the beats R&B songs again, for example, but they can change the notes and flow of the music to suit the artist best without the pressure of complying to the majority or what is deemed as good. Second, Having their own support is better because presumably the artists and the fans have the same interest and relatability. Therefore, the artists also felt happier when they can make songs that their fans relate to, and the fans' requests align with the artist one as well. But also, there's just a feeling of satisfaction that there's someone who likes your work and support you for it. You are more motivated to do more from that action because they are like, it's explicitly saying that from their comments they say that they like your work, for example. So those sorts of actions make them feel much better and more motivated to do more work that they also deem aligned to their interests anyways. What is the importance of this then? Two things. One, this is better for the artists who are starving for acknowledgement. It decreases their expectation to try to win a Grammy or an Oscar or any awards where it's mostly controlled by executives, or mostly they don't receive enough like a balance or, for example, enough capacity to win it anyways. But second, I would posit that artists' main interest is not to win awards. It's to make songs that they are proud of, to act as best as they could and be proud of how they express emotions, for example. So on our side, we cater to the artist's interest far better, and it's easier to get access to that as well. On a comparison, because of the glorification of awards and getting recognized, even if it's their best album like Taylor Swift's Reputation, for example, but if they did not win, they will feel like it's bad and they don't deserve to win, as proven as they don't win the Grammys, for example, and they feel worthless and they feel like it's not their best work, for example, even if it is. Let's preempt some things from opposition then. I might say that things like award and recognition are important, so the artists have achievement that they are entitled to, for example. Two things. One, this benefit only works if you win the awards. The problem is minority actors and actresses don't receive many awards, so this is only benefiting the privileged and worsen the vulnerable actors. This is due to the fact that they don't gain as much as the white actors because they don't necessarily gain the main actor rate, for example. But second, we can give achievements, which is self-fulfillment when you gain fans and supporters. There's no limit, it's based on you. So if you feel like you're having these small communities enough, then so be it, right? Second argument then on why it diminishes art. I'd posit that art has its value to protect. Since it's subjective, we see art as something elegant, deep, and charming, and things that cannot be explained but touch you from the inside. We think awards destroy the deep value of art for two things. One, it doesn't represent every single art, because some artists make very indie songs or abstract art that not everyone buy into, but it's still okay because that's what art is supposed to be. But it's not really shown in the media, or it's not preferred, so they don't get screen time on award shows as well. But secondly, more artists need to gain validation from awards on their side, so they prefer to make songs that the majority like. There's no soul in it, there's no personal meaning from the artist, it is simply a song that they can sing. It is simply a song that from like some producers and some lyricists that they like buy into, for example. This makes art feel like it's a plaything to exploit so they can win more awards. So there's no value in those kinds of music, or there's no value in filmmaking, as long as they make something that the majority prefers, then it's still okay. Why is this important then under our side? We don't want to decrease the value of art. Most people like to compare current art in the 1900s and how it's vastly different with the style and the meaning behind every painting and songs. We want to keep the integrity of art by how intricate it is and how detailed with every single lyrics or every performances they make to touch the audience again, to make you feel like this is breathtaking and send shivers down your spine. That is the true impact of art, and we want to preserve that. On op, you lose people that like art because it's all the same thing. What is the harm? People opt out of art, which means that these artists also don't give much supporters anymore because they're simply bored by the same thing again and again. That's why when art is basic, they lose people who like authentic art. Then artists also lose their supporters. For all of those reasons, propose.